Hey, so today I thought I'd just count down my top 10 favourite movies with plot twists ever. And before I begin, I'd like to say that there are probably many movies that I haven't seen with great plot twists, and therefore they won't be on the list. But, you can always let me know in the comments some other good movies with twists, without spoiling what the twist is, of course, don't be a dick. And I also wanted to mention that most of these picks are horror movies, but any movie is eligible for this list. So it won't be all horror, even though horror is my preferred genre. And lastly, there will be an absolute boatload of spoilers here, so you've been warned. Anyway, let's get to it. Number 10, we got Memento. Memento is about a man named Leonard Shelby who suffered a serious brain injury in an attack when a man broke into his house and supposedly killed Leonard's wife. Leonard was left with severe short-term memory loss after the incident and was determined to go kill the man that allegedly killed his wife. But obviously his memory loss makes this pretty hard. He can't remember who the bloke is, he can't remember what he looks like, he can't remember the address, he can't remember the name, anything. It's pretty tricky. But at the end of the film, we find out that he had already killed the criminal a year prior to the film's events. Leonard just couldn't remember it. And we also learn that Leonard himself killed his wife after giving her a fatal amount of morphine because he couldn't remember how much morphine he was supposed to give her. Leonard's wife didn't die in the attack, so Leonard was basically chasing himself the whole time.
The guy that cracked your skull and fucked your wife? We found him, you killed him. But you didn't remember.
So Hereditary is a dark, twisted viewing experience. The first time you watch this movie, you will be freaked the hell out and you'll be wondering why all this crap is happening to the Graham family. And although the reasoning is revealed at the end of the movie, it isn't something that you can fully appreciate until you watch it for the second time. My second viewing of this movie was so much better because I could pick up every little thing that was happening, and you can notice that every tiny thing that happens to the Graham family is all controlled by a satanic cult led by King Payman. So basically, none of this was coincidental. They were just basically like pawns on a chessboard. It's one of those things that you don't really get to fully appreciate until the second viewing, which is why I really enjoy Hereditary. So this is one of the more subtle picks on my list, although the film is very well known and widely received. But when the Nostromo picks up a strange signal, the crew investigates what they've perceived. But when an alien attacks Kane, who's a crew member, Ash, another crew member, opens the door to let Kane back into the ship, which in turn lets the alien inside. At first you're probably wondering why Ash would do such a stupid thing, but it turns out that Ash is actually a robot designed by scientists to bring an alien back to Earth to investigate it. It's pretty messed up to learn that the entire crew of the Nostromo were considered expendable, meaning that it didn't matter if they died, as long as the alien came back to Earth for science. Kind of like Hereditary, the horrors that happened in this movie were not by coincidence, they were set up. Right, now this is one of the absolute funniest twists in movies. King Arthur is out to find the Holy Grail, and he has a bunch of followers helping him find it. But in the movie's dying moments, we learn that this is not actually King Arthur and his followers. It is a large group of crazies that are pretending that they're living life in 932 AD. Ultimately, the police arrest everyone and the movie ends there. It's pretty anticlimactic, but it is one of the funniest movie endings that I've ever seen.
Come on, put out of my ass, an offensive weapon, that is. Come on, back with those two, back, right, come on. All right, Sonny, that's enough. Just pack that in.
Number 6, we have Vertigo. When Gavin Elster asks John Ferguson to watch over his wife named Madeline because he thinks she might be mentally unstable, John becomes a little bit obsessed with Madeline and starts to kind of love her a bit. But about halfway through the movie, Madeline kills herself by jumping off of a tall building. But we later learn that Madeline isn't actually Madeline. Her name is actually Judy Barton, and she's pretending to be Madeline, Gavin's wife that he had already murdered to inherit her wealth. And John was just used so there could be a witness to Madeline's suicide. And it was actually Madeline's dead body that was thrown off the building. It's a pretty complicated movie, and it's a little bit hard for me to convey it properly, but it is undeniably genius. Number 5 is 7. Yeah, I probably should have put 7 at 7, because then I could say 7 is 7. But it's not 7 at 7, it's 7 at 5. Let's move on. When a man named John Doe, who is murdering or severely maiming people according to the 7 deadly sins, turns himself in, only 5 out of the 7 people have been killed. So who are the last 2 victims? Well, in an incredibly shocking reveal, John Doe gives Detective David Mills, this film's protagonist, a box with Mills's pregnant wife's head in it. This is a massive shock, but the twist comes when it's revealed that John Doe represents the envy sin, because he envied Detective Mills's life and killed his wife out of jealousy. And in order to be murdered, he makes Mills commit the last remaining sin, being wrath, because he killed John Doe out of anger. It's an extremely bleak and sad ending, and it's one that absolutely just left me with my jaw, not even on the ground. It was like my jaw went through the floor. It was incredible. When's the last time a killer has been a victim of his own murder spree? So, in the last Harry Potter movie, we realise that Professor Severus Snape is the real reason why Harry Potter is still alive. Although Snape was an absolute dick to Harry, that was only because he resembled his father James, who bullied Snape when he was at school. Snape's true love of his life was Lily Potter, who ended up choosing James over him. He is completely torn apart by this and protects Harry vigorously whenever he can. And it's one of the most moving parts of the franchise when you realise how many things that Snape did to keep Harry alive, while also being a spy for Lord Voldemort.
Lily? After all this time? Always.
Now this twist is absolutely classic. Almost everyone knows this twist. I unfortunately had this twist spoiled for me, but it still gives me chills every time, so, it's okay. A boy named Cole Sear believes that he can see dead people, and he has psychiatrist Malcolm Crowe to help him try to deal with this issue. But at the end of this movie, after Cole has learnt to deal with all these ghosts, it is shown that Malcolm himself is actually a ghost. It's certainly one of the most chilling twists of all time, and it started Meta Knight Shyamalan Ding Dong's interesting career.
I see people. They don't know they're dead.
How often do you see them?
All the time. They're everywhere. only see what they want to see.
Okay, Mikey. Come on. Give me a minute.
Number 2 on my list is one of the more obscure horror movies. It's called Orphan, and it is one of my all-time favourite movies. I gave it 5 stars. I love this movie. And a big part of why I loved it is because of the twist. Like, it is a massive, huge twist. The Coleman family adopt a 9-year-old Russian named Esther, but they start to see through her angelic facade. And oh my god, just before the big final climax battle in this movie, the twist is revealed in an incredible way. We learn that Esther is not a 9-year-old Russian girl. She is a 33-year-old woman with a growth deformity, and that she is an escaped inmate from a mental institution. She poses herself as a little girl and tries to sexually induce the dad, and then just go watch this movie. It is fantastic. I love this movie.
She's dangerously ill, violent. She killed 7 people that we know of.
Oh my god, how could she fool us?
She's been passing herself off as a little girl for most of her life. She tricked the family here in Estonia into adopting her. When she couldn't seduce the father, she killed him and his whole family.
Then she burned the house down.
Yes. How did you know? She disappeared a year ago and we lost track of her. If it's really Nina, you don't have much time.
My number 1 pick is Psycho. I never, not in a million years, saw this coming. Norman Bates is caring for his mentally unstable mother, and throughout the movie, we see his mother completely dominating him by yelling at him, insulting him, and even killing other people, which he is forced to try and cover up. But when his mother is hiding out in the basement, it is shown that she is actually a corpse, and Norman himself was the one killing other people while dressed up in his mother's clothes. He killed his mother, and to cover up the guilt of doing that, he developed a split personality and began to live his life as his mother. He spoke in her voice and acted just as the way she would. This is done in the most spine-tingling way, and it never, ever fails to creep me out. The absolute greatest twist in any movie ever made, in my humble opinion.
Mrs. Bates.
So that was it for my favourite plot twists. Be sure to check out some of my other videos if you like, and next video is going to be a review on The Silence of the Lambs. And yeah, see you then. Bye.